The United States has always been a nation of immigrants, a melting pot of cultures and languages. This diversity has been a source of both strength and tension throughout its history. In the year 2000, President Clinton signed an executive order aimed at improving access to federal programs for individuals with limited English proficiency. This move reflected a growing awareness of the challenges faced by non-English speakers and a commitment to inclusivity. However, it also sparked a backlash from groups advocating for English to be recognized as the official language of the United States. This debate over language policy reflects deeper anxieties about national identity and the integration of newcomers. The debate over language is not merely about communication but about belonging, identity, and power. For many, English represents a unifying force, a common bond that holds the nation together. They argue that making English the official language would promote national unity and encourage immigrants to assimilate into American society. On the other hand, opponents of English-only policies view them as discriminatory and exclusionary. They contend that such policies would marginalize non-English speakers, creating barriers to their full participation in civic life. This debate over language policy came to a head with President Trump's executive order in 2025. His decision to make English the official language of the United States has reignited the debate about what it means to be American and who belongs in this increasingly diverse nation. The order has been met with both praise and condemnation, reflecting the deep divisions that exist within American society. As the nation grapples with these complex issues, one thing is clear: the language debate is far from over. On March 1, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order declaring English the official language of the United States. This move, while largely symbolic, represents a significant victory for the English-only movement. It also marks a reversal of President Clinton's 2000 executive order, which sought to improve access to federal programs for individuals with limited English proficiency. The order itself does not mandate immediate changes to federal programs. It does, however, grant federal agencies the discretion to discontinue offering multilingual services and documents. The Trump administration argues that this order will streamline government communication, reduce costs, and reinforce shared national values. Proponents of the order, including groups like US English, believe that making English the official language will encourage immigrants to learn English and facilitate their integration into American society. They contend that a common language is essential for effective communication and a strong national identity. Opponents, however, argue that the order is a solution in search of a problem. Critics point out that the United States has functioned well without an official language for over 2 centuries. They express concern that the order will create unnecessary barriers for non-English speakers attempting to access government services, participate in the democratic process, and fully engage in civic life. They also fear that it will send a message of exclusion and intolerance to immigrant communities. The English-only movement has a long and contentious history in the United States. Its roots can be traced back to the early 20th century, fueled by anxieties over mass immigration and the preservation of American culture. The movement gained momentum in the 1980s, culminating in efforts to pass English-only laws at the state and federal levels. While these efforts have faced legal challenges and criticism for being discriminatory, the movement has achieved significant victories at the state level. Over 30 states have now designated English as their official language, often with symbolic rather than practical implications. Proponents of the movement argue that a common language is essential for national unity, economic competitiveness, and effective communication. They contend that making English the official language will encourage immigrants to learn English, facilitating their integration into American society and promoting economic opportunity. They often cite concerns about the cost of providing multilingual services and the potential for language barriers to hinder communication and social cohesion. Opponents of the English-only movement view it as a thinly veiled attempt to marginalize non-English speakers and undermine cultural diversity. They argue that such policies are discriminatory, creating unnecessary barriers for immigrants and linguistic minorities. They point out that the United States has always been a multilingual nation, and that this diversity is a source of strength, not weakness. They also contend that English-only policies are unnecessary, as English is already the dominant language in the United States, and immigrants have a strong incentive to learn English. The long-term impacts of President Trump's executive order remain uncertain. While largely symbolic, the order has the potential to exacerbate existing tensions and create new challenges. One area of concern is the potential impact on immigrant communities. Advocacy groups fear that limiting federal communication to English could create significant barriers for non-English speakers seeking access to essential services, such as healthcare, education, and legal assistance. This could further marginalize vulnerable populations and create inequalities in access to opportunities. Another concern is the potential impact on bilingual education. While the executive order does not explicitly address education policy, critics fear that it could embolden efforts to restrict bilingual education programs. They argue that such programs are essential for helping English language learners succeed academically and integrate into American society. Restricting these programs could have long-term consequences for educational equity and social mobility. The order also raises questions about the future of multilingualism in the United States. Will it discourage the use of other languages and limit opportunities for cultural exchange? Will it foster a climate of intolerance and discrimination towards those who speak English as a second language? These are complex questions with no easy answers. What is clear is that the debate over language policy is about much more than just words. It is about fundamental questions of national identity, cultural diversity, and what it means to be American in the 21st century. As the nation grapples with these issues, it is essential to engage in thoughtful and respectful dialogue, recognizing the value of both unity and diversity.